some good news for you. Why? Because in this Holy Week coming up, we've got to understand that the good news is bad news will not last all the time, and it will not win in the end. Is there somebody here that understands that God is going to bring us through? God is going to increase our territory? I don't understand why you're still sitting there. Is there somebody here that's a billionaire that's getting ready to succeed? No matter what comes my way, no matter what they say to me, I am going to be better because my latter days will be better than my former days. Come on, give God praise for the increase.
Thank you, Lord.
As I take my seat, let's have a word of prayer. Realtist. Amen. Who will not allow in two places because of the complexion of the skin, because of the culture that they were in, because of the challenges they faced. These realtists would not allow anybody to stop them because they understood greater is he that's in them than he that's in the world. So God, let us not find fault, but let us find favor in the face of these challenges, because this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it every day, because the good news is bad news will not always win. In your name we pray, amen. God bless you.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Willie Jolly, and you know I always start the same way. If you've ever heard me speak, I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. It's forced upon me. I can't refuse it. I did not seek it. I did not choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute. But our eternities are wrapped up in it. So I'm grateful for this minute, this moment, this opportunity to come and share just a couple ideas with you about wealth creation and wealth building. I'm so excited to be here, and I want to celebrate and appreciate NAREB for being proactive in creating this incredible event, the Building Black Wealth Tour. Oh, I want to celebrate you, appreciate you, and say thank you. Thank you for what you've done. And then I want to celebrate each one of you who are here today, because you didn't have to come, but you came. You made a decision to come. Because how many of you know somebody who should be here today but didn't make the decision? They want to do something else. They want to watch television. They want to go and hang out with friends. But you know they should have been here with you as well. Well, I want to applaud NAREB. I want to applaud you. And then I want to give you a couple of just quick tips on wealth creation. I am so excited that I've been blessed to be able to do what I do for the last 30 years. And I'm so grateful that being named one of the top 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters. Or I am excited about getting the highest award in the speaking industry, the Cavett Award, like the Heisman. And I'm the first African-American man to get that. And I'm also grateful for my books. A setback is set up for a comeback, most people know, or it only takes a minute to change your life, or turn setbacks into greenbacks, or attitude of excellence, or my marriage book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, that I wrote with my wife. We'll be celebrating 40 years in June. But I am exceptionally excited about my new book. Oh, my new book that's coming out soon. You'll be able to hear more about it or see more how you can learn more about it at the end of this video. But it's a book that is the result of my 19 years on Sirius XM, where I now have the #1 self-help wealth building show in America on Sirius XM, the Willie Jolly Wealthy Ways show and podcast. You can hear the show every Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern on channel 141, Sirius XM channel 141. It replays Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m., channel 141. Or you can just go to my podcast, the Willie Jolly Wealthy Ways podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, and hear these great interviews. And after 19 years of interviewing people like David Stewart, the wealthiest black man in America, $19 billion last year, or Bob Johnson, America's first black billionaire, or Sheila Johnson, the first black woman who became a billionaire through her businesses, how she became a woman billionaire and now owns the Wizards and a part of the Wizards, the Mystics and the Capitals. Or how about others like Damon John, Les Brown, Dennis Kimbrough. We've got these black wealth creators. Oh, but I don't just interview the black wealth creators. I also interview people like David Rubenstein, the owner of the Baltimore Orioles, Bill Marriott, John Maxwell, one after another. You can listen to them on the podcast. And out of those interviews, I learned that there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. And if you know the difference, you can change your life. Now, here's the thing about this book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better, that this book is built on two platforms, two prongs. One is the fact that not everybody's going to be rich. The Bible says the poor will be with you always. There's a reason for that. I won't have time to go into it, but there's a reason. God didn't just say, oh, I'm going to make these rich and I'm going to make these poor. No. It's a mindset. And so that's one thing. But everybody's not going to be rich. But anybody can create wealth once you know how. In this book, I'm going to tell you how to create wealth for these great wealth creators and what I've learned. Second thing this book is built on is the 5 money mindsets that we see here in our land, in our country, in the world. The number one mindset number one kind of mindset is the one-day mindset. You'll see somebody standing with a cardboard box saying, give me enough money to make it through the day. And they do that every day. Every day they repeat the cycle. Then you got the 30-day mindset. People who are on fixed income, who are living month to month to month to month. And then you got what we call the 1-year mindset. The 1-year mindset said, did I make more money this year than I made last year? And then you got the decade to decade mindset. We typically see that with baseball players or football players or entertainers who get a big contract or are in favor for about a decade. We get a baseball player who gets a 10-year contract to play baseball and gets $100 million and he's balling for 10 years. But if he doesn't modify his lifestyle or if he doesn't invest his money well, he'll be broke. Statistics show over 70% of professional athletes are broke 5 years after retirement because they did not understand that it doesn't last forever. And then you get the 5th mindset, the generation mindset. And that's what I want you all to strive for. And that's the mindset that says from the Bible that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children's grandchildren. A good man or a good woman leaves an inheritance that will last for generations. My goal in this book is to get each person, each level, to go up another level. So the one who's one day, I know he can't get immediately to the generation, but if I can get this book to get him to go up to the 30-day, and I get the 30-day person to go up to the 1 year, I get the 1 year to go up to the 10-year, and if I can get the 10-year to go up to the generation, then I know I've done my job. Look, this book is going to change lives. This Setback Setup for a Comeback book has been a global bestseller, but I believe Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better is going to be even bigger because of the secrets that everybody should know. Everybody in your household needs to read this book. Your children, your family members, your cousins, your friends, everybody needs to read the book. Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. You can now get it pre-ordered at richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com. richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com or just wjspeaks.com/wealthy. wjspeaks.com/wealthy. I hope to come and be with you at the next time the tour comes around. We're going to be helping people grow and go to the next level. And as I say to you, and I say to my audience at the end of every show on Sirius XM, at the end of every morning on Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell, I say the same thing every time. For sure, your best is yet to come. Have a great day, and remember, you can when you think you can and you act on it. God bless you. This is Dr. Willie Jolly. Hey, go to winwithwillie.com, winwithwillie.com for some of my resources, my books, Win with Willie, and sign up for my newsletter so you get all of my messages sent to you in your email box free, Free, and then you can purchase some of my books on that website. Have a great day. See you next time. God bless you.
Today is a day about us transforming mindsets. How we think, how we receive, how we share, how we connect can start with the energy in this room today and be transformative to the lives of everyone you touch hereafter. These wonderful people standing up here with me, I always just talk like people know who I am and we're just friends already, but and we are friends. We are friends in real life. But this is the team. This is your Reed Temple team. You know, I'm Sharice Scott. I'm Sharice Scott.
I'm Eric Burke.
Eric is our education chair for Prince George's Realtors.
I'm Arlantia Williams, I'm co-chair to the Wealth Building Day today.
Yes, and I'm going to introduce this next person, Miss Rhonda Lewis, who I asked. Rhonda's just like, where do you want me to go? Just put me wherever I need to be. I said, you're going to be like an armor bearer. And with that, she has been, because everybody doesn't have to have a title. Everybody doesn't have to have a specific role. You just step in where you fit in. You step in where you see your gift can shine, okay? And that's what Rhonda did. So I'm gonna ask her, because we had a welcome from Pastor Whitlock earlier when this started at 9. And as we move into this hour of empowerment, to be enlightened by our amazing panelists, I'm going to ask Rhonda to lead us in a word of prayer as we move forward with this program.
Good morning. May we all bow our heads in prayer and open our hearts and our minds to the Lord. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for bringing us here safely, Lord. Thank you for the ancestors of NAREB who had the vision and the courage to start this group in 1947, Lord. Thank you for allowing us to have the honor and the courage to carry that vision on. Thank you for everyone who has brought themselves here today to serve. Shirley Chisholm said that service is the rent that we pay to live here on this earth, Lord. And we pray that you allow us to continue to serve the people of our county, of our state, and of our nation. Lord, thank you for this panel who is taking out their time, Lord, to empower us. We know that the greatest power that we can ever have will come from you, Lord. But we thank you for the power that you've given to them that they can pass on to us, Lord, so that we can receive the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the courage that we need to carry forth this great mission. Lord, thank you for this day again. Thank you for everyone that is in here in our presence. And we ask that you continue to bless us in all that we do, and that we continue to always magnify you and give all the glory to God. All these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. I'd like to start also by acknowledging all of our Realtors members in the room and just ask them to please stand and wave and, you know. These are your charter members from Prince George's Realtors. Is that President Abrams? She doesn't have on a t-shirt, but come on up here. Ms. Cheryl Abrams is not only a member of Prince George's Realtors, a charter member, she is also the president of Maryland Realtors. So this is the face of the young woman who is running Maryland Realtors for us right now. So welcome to the 2025 Building Black Wealth Tour. Today, you receive this invitation to making history as it pertains to changing the mindset and building wealth in our communities. We are so grateful to our sponsors for their financial support, our community partners for their time and resources, our esteemed panelists here to share their wealth of knowledge with all of us today. And last but not least, our Prince George's Realtors members and volunteers who answered the call of our board president, Melanie Gamble, to press toward the mark of achieving democracy in housing, and trusted our team and our community to do this together. When you look back after today, you'll realize that you have a book of resources to connect and take action in improving your life and the life of others, and that you're connected to a community of change makers, which makes you a change maker. And you're also a part of a historic event today that is making the Guinness Book of World Records, participating in one of the 100 cities of the 2025 National Building Black Wealth Tour, which is a goal of our National Association of Real Estate Brokers president, Dr. Courtney Johnson Rose. It's a great time to be a realtist. That's what she always likes to say. So welcome to the journey. You are now officially a part of the movement. That's from your team, your Prince George's Realtist team. I would like to now invite to the floor. Our host sponsor is Citi, and Miss Alita Johnson is here to represent Citi. So Miss Alita.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, welcome to the Prince George's Realtors NAREB Building Wealth Day. On behalf of Citibank, we are delighted to welcome you to an inspiring day dedicated to creating wealth and well-being within our community. Today, we gather not only to explore financial growth, but also to prioritize our holistic health, both physical and mental. Our mission is to empower each of you with the tools, the knowledge to thrive in every aspect of your life. Opportunities await you. Throughout the event, you will discover a variety of sessions and resources focused on physical health. You're going to learn about maintaining a healthy lifestyle to support your overall well-being, your mental health. You're going to engage in discussions that promote mental wellness and resilience. We're going to talk about home finances, and we're going to help you explore strategies for managing and maximizing your home investment. And the most important thing that I'm really excited about is the opportunity to talk about your trust and your estate planning. Because it's very important that you understand that planning for the future is to protect your assets as well as your loved ones. And then you're going to gain some insights about health. So we believe that the true wealth encompasses not only financial success, but also the health and wellness that enable us to enjoy our achievements. So thank you for being here today and for your commitment to building a prosperous, healthy community. Let's take this journey together and unlock the opportunities that lie ahead. Please enjoy the event, and Citi is proud to be a sponsor.
Thank you, Ms. Alita. Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Antoine Brown from the Office of Governor Wes Moore. I would also like to welcome to the stage Ms. Ernestine Williams. Is that your last name? It's a surprise. She didn't know. So, thank you to Dr. Brown for his efforts in assisting us with receiving this special citation. And because Ms. Ernestine Williams is one of our elders on our board, I would like for you to please receive this citation from the governor.
Good morning. Still morning? Good morning. First name, my name is Dr. Antoine Brown. As you heard, this honor is from our great state of Maryland. But also, someone take time to read it. And before we start, I am the Administrative Director of African Affairs and Middle East American Affairs for the Governor's Office of Community Initiatives. So it says, the Governor of the State of Maryland, greetings. Be it known, because of your demonstration of high integrity and ability, meriting our great trust and respect, we are most pleased to honor you with the Governor's citation in appreciation of you of your years of outstanding services to the citizens of the state. Under my hand of the great state of Maryland, this 12th day of April, 2025, and it is signed by Governor Wes Moore, Lieutenant Governor Arona Miller, and Secretary of State Susan Lee. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. I'd like to take a moment to highlight and recognize, for those of you who couldn't make it here today, some of our sponsors and our community partners so that they can be recognized. We've already heard from Ms. Alita Johnson with Citibank. I'd also like to acknowledge Shervin Joseph with Fitzgerald Financial. US Bank is one of our sponsors. They are hosting at our sister church at Ebenezer AME. Integrity Title, Mansala, she's on the panel. Home Sale Plus, First National Bank. Please stand. National Financial Literacy Campaign. We have 2 people here. And actually, Mr. Roy, you're supposed to be up here on this panel. Come on up over here. We're gonna go ahead and get you up. All right, and EPG Construction, A1 HVAC, and some of them are not here, because remember, this is one event in 2 locations. I used to go to church, they used to say, we're 2 churches and one church and 2 locations. One event in 2 locations, but it's nice to be recognized because it's good to hear the people who are pouring into the community and want to see this work move forward. Caring Transitions, Derek, okay. ProTech Inspections, Interstate Moving and Resources, Meridian Bank. Y'all want to keep that? CMG Home Loans. First Heritage Mortgage. PRMI Mortgage. DR Horton, a builder. The Panacea Business Consortium. And Go Fitness LLC. Who got to get it in? You didn't get to get it in with Go Fitness. I'm just saying, I don't know. We also have our community partners that we want to recognize. Manor Homes, they're at Ebenezer today. Home Free USA, Ms. Milan. Come on up here, stop being bad. Housing Initiative Partnership, also known as HIP. Lions International. 5 Star Enterprises. And we have Communibuild Foundation. All this work, this is what we do on a regular basis. WHUR 96.3 and the Washington Informer. They are not here, but again, recognize the relevance and the importance of the Black press when you're doing movements such as this. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my co-chair, Ms. Arlencia, to come forward and introduce our host.
So I have the pleasure of introducing my friend and our moderator, who is God-fearing, a mom of 4, a radio and TV personality. She's been on Bravo TV, OWN TV, All Black Network. Some of you may know her from Love and Marriage DC. She is an author of 9 published books. Wow. She is a transformational speaker and a transition coach, and also an entrepreneur. So without further ado, I introduce to you Ms. Winter Harris.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes. We're good? Yes. So we're gonna have a lively conversation this morning. I know. Then what am I really leaving for the generation? So I come as hope. I come to transform my mind. I come to stand in my truth to say that we as a people, that our ancestors gave us so much, but how we're wired genetically, the way that we think in our mind, as Black women especially, we do, the Superwoman cape is burned up. Throw that away. It's how you live. We don't go to sleep, we're on our phones. We can't sit with our own thoughts. And that's the greatest gift, is the mind. God said, renew the mind. He was the greatest cognitive behavioral therapist that walked the face of the earth. He talked about the mind. And when we renew our mind, then what I feel is different. Our brain has neural pathways that if I have coping skills and strategies, my neural pathways in my brain can shift my mood by just one affirmation. What I say to myself, how I feel about myself, my attitude, my belief, and my perspective. So on today, I challenge you, each of you, to think about your mental well-being. When we think about our well-being, we think about our heart, our kidneys, but think about your mind. Think about your thoughts and how you affirm yourself and how you live day to day and what we speak into the lives of our children. I represent the authenticity of who I am for my child. Whatever I say to him comes from my heart. It is truth, it's rooted in truth. And his legacy will forever continue because he is understanding that it starts in his mental health. He is a cryptocurrency investor at 27 years old. And he thinks about his mind. He thinks about anxiety. I got a call yesterday from a family whose child is thinking about suicide. Yesterday, I had to have somebody hospitalized for suicidal thoughts and ideation. Every day, I'm receiving phone calls and working with patients who are losing their jobs, who are so fearful of uncertainty in what's happening in the world. And so I suggest to all of us that this is community, this is alliance, and we need each other. And this is the time that we need to band together and come together. So I leave you with this thought, that the mind and our thoughts are the precious gift that we can give to ourselves and to our families, and how we deal with trauma and generational trauma and legacy is to really participate in the wellness of our mental health. And if our mental health is well, and if we show up in those spaces and we allow grace in the space, then we will be better off and we will leave a generation better than where we started and where we came from. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was truly an activation. And I'm so grateful that we started with mental health first, because I don't even think we can move into financial health without getting our minds positioned to receive wealth. I spent a number of years as an NFL wife, and I can't even tell you, I tell people all the time, some of the loneliest people have the most faith and the most fortune. I remember distinctly praying with a number of NFL wives who were contemplating suicide, who were needing to be hospitalized because their mental was so all over the place because their homes were chaotic, despite the fame and the glory some of their husbands were receiving on the field. So money is not the answer to everything. And we have to have the mental capacity to be able to manage and steward our finances well. So we're going to move into getting our money right. Thank you so much again. That was powerful. And we're going to move into from generational trauma to generational living legacy through the means of finances. And our first panelist for this section is Philip Roy. He is a financial health expert. And so I want you, light on the expert or heavy on the expert? I say heavy on the expert. No one up here is light. So don't be shocked. What would you like to share with us in terms of our financial health?
You know you're a hard act to follow, right? I tell you, this was powerful right there. Because the more I think about it, we want to educate people with wealth. But mentally, if you're struggling mentally, then how can I really help you? But once we get that mind right, we have to understand, you have to know your needs. And the greatest thing that I can give you from the beginning is
Yes, sir.
to understand you have to become debt free, because in order to be financially independent,
I'm not sure.
because you don't want to depend on the government. We can't.
Let me see.
Society is teaching us today that we cannot depend on our government. So that means
but I can't see
develop
camera
our own wealth. We have to develop a security for ourselves. So that means we have to educate ourselves. We have to change the way we think. And so, because we know how to spend, every last one of us in here know how to spend. How many, we've been on so many shopping sprees, and we've been all over buying the latest stuff. But how many of us diligently know how to save? Because when we look at the Bible talks about, God said he desired for us to prosper and be in good health. And I'm not a prosperity preacher, but I do believe that God wants us to be in a place where we're able to bless somebody else. And in order for me to bless somebody else, I got to be able to attain wealth. I got to understand how money works. I got to understand where's the best place to put my money where it will grow for me. And not just for me, but for the generation that's coming behind me. And so it's important for us to build our wealth. It's important to understand the different strategies. We actually give workshops, free workshops, building wealth, proper protection, health and wealth. Because what's good to have wealth if your health is no good. And so she talked about the pharmacy because my mom died diabetic, So it's a natural thing for us to go to the pharmacy to get medication. But when we talk about building wealth, it's like that's foreign language. So we got to understand we have control of our destiny. The government don't control your destiny. You do. You control what you build and what you don't build. And so the responsibility is in your hands. You have the power within you to build your own legacy, your own life. You have all the tools you need. And what you don't have, there's resources. There are resources. Tap into the resources. You have the power to build your legacy, your family's legacy. And so and I'm not just saying this because I'm a practice of what I teach, I practice. So everything I share, I'm doing myself. And now I'm having my 3 children in a position where they're doing it. Because I want them to build for their own children. Because I'm not going to be here. I'm healthy and I don't take any medications, thanks be to God. And believe it or not, I will be turning 66 in July. So, but God has sustained me and has kept me. And so now I'm able to share my wealth with my kids, with my family members, with folks I come in contact with, because it's real. And now we're seeing it more real than we ever seen it before. Because like I said, I have never seen our world in the situation where it is in now. And it pushes me to even to go after more and teach more, because people have to be educated. When it comes to even whatever they're doing in life, real estate, your banking, you have to be educated financially, because your future is in your hands. See, here's the thing. If you come into this world and you come into this world poor, it's not your fault. But if you leave here poor, it's your fault. It's your fault. And I'm going to leave it right there.
Mic drop. We'll call that a mic drop. How many of us in this room have a living will? By show of hands, if you don't mind sharing. Not trying to dig too much in your business. Okay. Let's listen up as we move into this next section. Miss Ethel Mitchell has a family operated wills, trust, POA, directive, probate law firm. And I listened to her and I was like, I need to get a consultation. Because even, you feel like you know what you know, but then there's things you don't know. And we're not always as prepared as we think. And let me tell you, at the rate that I have seen so many people leave here in the last year or two, I feel like since COVID, it's been crazy. And we can't afford to wait until something happens to figure it out. I'll tell a personal story about why this is important and why I'm passionate about it. My grandparents owned 10 acres of land. They had 11 children living when they passed away. To this day, we still own that land. That land is in our family. As the elders start to move on and retire, that is always in our family to move from generation to generation. And I think back to that because my grandfather was a farmer. They didn't have much. My grandmother worked as a cafeteria worker and raised kids. But when I tell you, they uncovered so much money she had with all of them life insurance policies. We were like, how in the world? I don't know who taught her. She literally had a 9th grade education, but she understood the importance of building generational wealth, and that is something that has benefited my mom's family to this day. So I would love for you to share with us why this is important and how we can attain the protections that we need to make sure that we set generations after us up for success.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ethel Mitchell. I have a law firm that's called Wills and Trusts, LLC, because that's all we do. Okay, myself, my son is a lawyer, and attorney Brenda Morton, who also works with us. I'm going to give you 2 examples, okay? Number 1, she died. She left the house, 4 children, adult children, 2 of whom did not get along with the others. They had to struggle to pay for her funeral because they didn't realize that when you die, the bank freezes your bank account, okay? She had no will, and 3 years later, they were still struggling in probate. And this happens over and over and over again, every day, throughout the country, okay? Not just in our community, but in all communities, okay? Second example, she died, she had a will, and she had a trust. When she died, she had named what's called a successor trustee to handle her affairs. Her bank account, her home, her assets were already in the trust. Her successor trustee could immediately sign checks on the accounts, paid for her funeral, paid all her bills, and made the distribution as she directed. Her directions in her will could be do a deed of my house to somebody or all of my children. If so, after paying her bills, her successor trustee comes into the office, we do a deed, she signs the deed, we record the deed, it's done. That can be for property anywhere in the country. If you live in DC and you have property in North Carolina, it doesn't matter if you have your trust already created and you have funded the trust, meaning there's been a deed of property anywhere in the country into your trust before you die. So when you die, if your trust says, give my North Carolina house to this person, give my Mississippi house to this person, however you want it to go, it can be done and you never have to go to court. Never. It is done automatically. The trust does not die when you die, okay? It continues and you have authorized somebody to manage it the way you want. You can likewise also say, hold on to my money. Save it for my grandchildren, okay? You can say, you know, I've got $100,000 in this investment account. Or maybe make an insurance policy payable into your trust. And maybe your trustee can create baby trusts or other trusts. So your trust can say, when I die, create a trust for my grandchildren, for example, and put all of my money, 100%, 10%, whatever you want, into that trust. Name who's going to manage it, and say, hold that money, invested, reinvested, and then when my grandchildren reach whatever age to go to college, use that money to send them to college. Or you can say, if they're already alive, hold it for their grandchildren. You see what I mean? That's how intergenerational wealth works. The trust is the way in which generational wealth is passed down from generation to generation. I've been doing this a long time, and now right here in DC, I'm on third generations of several families. And I'll tell you something, not only have we never gone to court, but every family gets richer than the next generation, okay? Because the first one, the grandfather in one instance, left property for his children, okay? His children had their own property because they worked and they saved, and so we did a trust, their trust. And when the grandfather died, we moved that property into the children's trust, okay? And then their children had children, and now, I've been doing this a long time, okay? So now their children are in their 20s and 30s and they're working and so on. You know, in some instances they sold the old house, in other instances they kept it. But that's the way in which you create intergenerational wealth. So, as you think about this, I want you to think about not just yourself, not just your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, but also your adult children. Please encourage them as well. We got a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds and even 30-year-olds got some money, okay? They're working, they got life insurance, they got retirement accounts. Every adult needs to have at least a will, a power of attorney, and a medical directive. At the very least, even if you don't want to go fancy like a trust, at the very least have a will, a power of attorney, and a medical directive. So I'm going to stop now. You can hear me on the radio every Saturday morning, usually from 8:30 to 10. I'm on WOL, it's live, and you can call in and ask questions. Our website is willsandtrust.net. On that website, it's all kinds of information about wills, about trust, what's a trust, how's it work, probate, all of that stuff. You can even listen to the radio through that website. And there are over 60 podcasts on all kinds of things, not just on wills and trusts, but also on what do you do when you get fired. I just did a program about that. with the financial advisor. You know, how do you deal with a lot of different things? So please give us a call. We offer free initial consultations, and we'll be glad to work with you.
So we're going to move into home finance health with Shervon Joseph. And I will say too, a lot of these panelists will be around after we wrap this empowerment panel today. So please feel free to don't hunt them down, you know, be kind and respectful. But many of them are willingly volunteering their expertise, and they'll be happy to answer some general questions. So they'll be sticking around. So I just want to say that as we move forward. But Shervon, if you would mind sharing your wisdom and knowledge when it comes to home finance health?
Absolutely. Well, let's give some background, and my voice is going to wake you up because, as I told them, I'm not sure I need this. That's because I was a former Marine a lifetime ago, and I've been a mortgage banker for 39 years. When you pick a mortgage banker, you pick a lender. You want someone with integrity, and you want someone with transparency, because too much what we're going through now is misinformation. And particularly at grassroots, when people are giving you information on how to start buying a home, and what's best for you is usually what's best for them. Okay? So I caution you, and I always say this at many of the seminars I do, it is critical that you understand that not everybody has your best interest at heart, they have theirs. Okay? I am also a diversity outreach manager, so I do seminars and diversity literacy training for Howard. I've done it for Howard University faculty, for their students, for the residents around there. I've done it for the Informer. I've done it for the Afro. So yes, 40 years, you cover a lot of ground. So going back to what the good doctor said, I couldn't agree more. I think the mind, and I'm very big into wellness. I think if you're missing the boat if you're not in a wellness state. I too have sons that my lifetime has been devoted, you know, from when I coached them in just about every sport while being a mortgage banker, and both of them are about 15 months apart in age. So it's critical that you give to your family, because that is your legacy. One is a director of business development for an international firm out of France, and it's all over the United States. He can't travel, he can't stop traveling enough, but extremely successful, and he's done extremely well. He's also a CPA. The other is management recruiter for Salesforce. And he's been with the same gal for 17 years, who's also a therapist as well. So, yeah, we've been very fortunate, but we made our fortunate, okay? Understand, I was in their rear end from a very early age, and stayed in their rear end to make sure that they got where they got to now. I couldn't be prouder, and they've taken a mantle. They both own homes in very nice areas, and I don't have to worry about that. You still worry, you're a parent, that's what you do. But my point is that this family and building wealth, think about this. Most of the people in here are Black. White home ownership is at about a 74% rate in this country. Census Bureau. Black home ownership is at about 42% rate, okay? Take that disparity. If we're not doing something about it, as this gentleman said, that's on us. Okay, if you're part of the solution, then you should act accordingly. Every panelist up here should act accordingly into getting folks in homes the way that we are projecting. Okay, that's the important aspect of it. Hispanic is about 42%. Okay, that's real. Now, what are you going to do about it? Because we all know one of the critical points in home ownership is credit. It starts there. And then it's the information I was talking about. What do we do about the information when we start to get information? I go into seminars and I ask the question, what do you think you need for a down payment? And folks say, oh, you need about 20%. Seriously, in this day and age? Think about that. People still believe you need an exorbitant amount of money to put down on a home. Because you could go 3.5% down payment and get into a home. You could go 5%. There's different avenues, there's programs, there's grant programs. There is a multitude of ways to get into a home. What you can't do is sit on the sideline, as Shirley Chisholm said, and spectate. You've got to get off the sideline and get in the game. Because the game of life starts with building wealth, with home ownership. You want to get started in the fastest transition of wealth is home ownership. Plain and simple. And you're not going to get that having and I'm going to use the term, the fly cars, okay, and all of that great stuff and going on vacations and so forth, and you have no substance, okay? We have got to do better for ourselves and our families. It takes us starting to look at them instead of looking at ourselves selfishly. And it starts with taking care of our credit, understanding how we could get, look, no one's perfect. Your credit is messed up. Let's figure out how to get you a blueprint to improve your credit, okay? We're gonna give you a blueprint. I'll give you simulations right from the credit bureau. Says pay this off, pay this down, pay this down. This is where your score will go from point A to point B, okay? That's the start. Then you have to start looking at saving some money. Don't think a grant is going to take care of you and that's it, okay? You need to have some money in the bank, reserves, in case something goes wrong. You could not, I repeat, you could not rely on everybody else feeding you to get you taken care of a house. You have to rely on your own instincts and what's best for you and your family. You have to look within. That's where it starts. That's the wellness she's talking about. You have to look within. If you're hurting, there's panelists up here. Reach out, give us a call and say, hey, how do I start? What do I do? Where do I go from point A to point B? But don't stay muddled in the same inequity, same nonsense, and not doing anything about it. I'm gonna get off the preacher's box. I'm sorry, but I could get started on this, and I don't want you to misunderstand. It is vitally important that you take care of you. And you can pick up a phone and I'll speak with you. We'll take you through the whole situation. I'm going to be back here at a breakout workshop where I can get you qualified today. I can get you credit and tell you what your scores are. Yes, you qualify for this and so forth. This is how it starts. If I'm going to do my part, I need to give you time, just like you need to give yourself some time.
Thank you so much. And it's okay. A little preaching never hurt anybody. We're going to keep staying in this home ownership vein, but we understand how important taxes are, seeing as how it's in the deadline coming up.
April 15th is the day.
Yes.
Individuals.
Goodness gracious, another tax season. And a tax season it has been.
Yes.
So I'm excited to welcome Ms. Cheryl Ivory to the stage. She is a tax attorney. So she is a professional. And I think one of the things I'm loving about these panelists is that we're getting accurate information. I think that's so important, especially in today's society where we're inundated with so much information and not all of it is the right information. I've been doing social media fast because it's just too much sometimes and you got to shut it off. So I'm excited to hear from you and how we can work on our tax health and being prepared.
Okay, let's have at it. Well, first of all, thank God that I'm able to be here today, and be here in front of you guys. Thank God I didn't get a ticket driving up here.
Amen.
Because that, I bust that 90 coming up here. But thank you for welcoming me into this space. I actually wrote a prepared speech because I'm just like that. I have to be lined out as an attorney. That's just how I am, so just bear with me. Thank you for the organizers for organizing this powerful event around building Black wealth, sustaining it, protecting it, and passing it on. Now, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I didn't come here to give you a watered down, sugar-coated version of financial empowerment. I'm not about here to stand up here and tell y'all, just, you know what, save your money. Put it underneath that mattress, like my father told me, and call it a day. And I'm not about to hit you with a whole bunch of tax jargon that y'all probably don't even know what I'm talking about anyway. And then have y'all come up after me when this is over saying, you know, sis, what did you mean by that? And I'll be like, I don't know. Then I know I didn't do my job. I'm gonna leave y'all with no questions at the end. This conversation we're having today is about change. It's not about change just within yourself, but changing how we as a community approach finances, taxes, and generational wealth. I want to talk about us, the marginalized, the overlooked, the underestimated Black folks, women, the LGBTIA2QS plus. They have a lot of acronyms behind that, right? Our disabled brothers and sisters, the working class, the poor. All of us who often left last to benefit from legislative change and the first to feel the sting of its consequences. Y'all, there's changes on the horizon, and y'all better pay attention, okay? But let me tell you something that hasn't changed. The Internal Revenue Code. That's right, y'all, the one that y'all love so much, the IRC. The rules that wealthy folks use to protect and grow their wealth, those rules ain't color-coded. They don't care about your gender, your income bracket, or your zip code. That's where we flip the script. They may try to keep us out through legislation, discrimination, or sheer lack of information. But the tax code itself, that's where we can beat them at their own game. If you have a business, whether you braid hair in your kitchen, like I did when I was in college, or own a trucking company, stop taking the standard deduction, itemize. Use the deductions, use the credits. That's what they're there for. Maximize what's available to you. Well, here goes something y'all ain't gonna like to hear. And please stop using the cheapest tax preparers that you could find. I know it's tempting. I know every dollar counts. I know mine did when I was growing up. But you get what you pay for. So when you end up in a mix and you wondering why, you better look at what you invested in yourself. Okay? I learned that the hard way. Cheap is not always the better way. Invest in someone who knows what they're doing. Someone who understands you, your business, your hustle, not just the tax code, but will also help teach you basic tax knowledge and the tax breaks you're entitled to. And I say this, all attorneys are not money grabbers. I know they're not. We have heart. Okay, I pride myself in having heart. My clients will tell you I educate them as we go through the process, so they're not taken advantage of by me or anyone else. I gotta tell y'all something too. I'm not, as y'all can't tell by this little Brooklyn hard accent that I got. I'm not always soft and gentle. I'm a good person in a nice, friendly way. I mind your business more than you probably want me to. But it's because I care. I do. I get all of my clients' business. I call them at night, 11 o'clock, 12 midnight, and they answer. Family. But I do that because I care. If I see something that can harm you financially, I'm going to say so. I don't leave it up to chance. I don't leave it up to, because you don't know. I know. Okay? If you're told you to have a tax debt, I want you to pause. I want you to ask questions. I want you to get a second opinion. Don't just accept it and submit your return without making sure it's accurate. You do not, because somebody prepared your tax return, does not mean you are obligated to turn that tax return in, especially if you feel any qualm about it. That's the first thing I always see. People come to me, can you fix my taxes? Why? Well, did you read your tax return? Well, no, I relied on them. Well, that's the problem. Did they explain to you anything? No. You gotta know. You have to know. And you know, and the law goes, ignorance is no excuse. Okay? I've had clients come to me after being told they owe 30 or 40,000, and after a proper review and an amended return, they're owed thousands of dollars back, especially if you have a business. And for those who owe the IRS or Maryland state taxes, don't run. Don't ignore the letters, because Lord knows I ran from letters. There are ways to handle it. You can request payment plans, submit offers in compromise, request penalty abatements, but you need someone who knows the system to walk you through it. You don't have to do it alone. And it don't have to even be through me, as I'm paid. There's tax advocates out there that do this for free. If you don't have it, you just don't have it. And you can't bleed blood from a stone. And I don't try to. Now, I want to be transparent with y'all because I've been where you are. I'm not speaking from a pedestal. I'm speaking from experience. I was a single black mother, living check to check, just trying to make it, trying to raise my son while keeping the lights on, which was tough. I know that struggle. I took my son to law school with me for my first year. I didn't have money for a babysitter. And my professors were understanding because they knew where I was coming from. Like I try to understand where my clients are coming from. But I made a decision. I wasn't going to stay there. I earned my MBA from Oswego College, my JD from Charleston School of Law, my LLM in taxation from Boston University School of Law, and soon I have my master's in social work from Howard University. Yes. Now for my vice fans, that's what I'm talking about. I worked as a comptroller, a tax associate, and I've accumulated over 20 years of experience. And I've also been a judge for the past 4 years as a criminal judge in North Carolina. I did all of that, not for me, but I did it to share it with you, to pay it forward, to make sure that the knowledge that was often gatekept from people like us gets in our hands. Now, let me be clear, everyone's tax situation is different. That's why I'm not sitting up here telling you, you know what, there's a QPRT, if you got a house, go your house with QPRT, do this, do that. That's not what this is for. Because it might not apply to you. You're gonna sit here and waste your time. And I'm not here to waste time. I'm not gonna stand up here and give you a one-size-fits-all advice. But I will say this, if something I said today sparked a thought, or made you realize that you need more support, let's talk. Meet with me here. If not here, call me later. Reach out to me. I like, don't seem crazy, but as an attorney, you know, we usually don't accept text messages from our clients. I do. Sharice, no. She called me about 1 o'clock in the morning. I answered. I'm like, what you want, girl? I want to talk about this tax problem. Okay, wait, hold on now, Chief. Let me get up. And I'll talk to her. It depends. Don't try it, everybody. Don't try it. But this is not about just taxes. It's about power. It's about legacy, right? It's about using the tools that already exist to build the kind of financial foundation our communities have been denied for too long. Thank you for listening to me, because I know I talk too much. Thank you for showing up today. But my last thought is this: let's keep building, not just wealth, but a future where we all get a seat at the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to do a quick time check. How are we doing? Good? Everyone good? Everyone still awake? All right, we're good. We're going to keep moving. And we have 4 remaining panelists. Thank you guys for your patience. We're going to try to do this in the 20 minutes that should be allowed for the 4 of you that's left. So I'm issuing a challenge now. that we can get this done. I don't want to rush you because everyone's voice matters, but I do want to be respectful of the time that we've been allotted, and we are coming to the nitty gritty. We're not going to point no fingers. You okay? No, you're no, everyone has been phenomenal, you included. So don't feel any kind of way. But I do want to be respectful to the remaining panelists that we have left with the time frame that we have left. So can we do it? I have faith in you. So we're going to move into home title health with Monzella Owings. You're on the floor.
Okay, no pressure.
No pressure.
Well, first of all, my name is Monzella Owings. I am part owner of Integrity Title and Escrow Company, and we specialize in both commercial and residential real estate closings. And I am, first of all, very honored to be here, and I want to say, generally, if you all are not listening, I am sitting here blown away by this panel, and it has truly already been a blessing to me. But what I will say to you very quickly, and I'm not going to delve in light of the time too much into this, is I think what's really important in this time we're in is, one, to not shrink back, do not be in fear. I think that's really crucial. And also to educate yourselves and plan accordingly. Someone said earlier that the difference between those who are successful and those who are not is action. And I believe in that 100%. You know, as I'm listening to my panelists, again, when I talk about not shrinking back, if you're not careful, right now you will allow all that you're hearing about the stock market, about tariffs, about the economy, about the recession, get you into a state of paralysis. And that is the worst thing that you can do, because in the 26 years I've been doing this, okay, so don't count the math, okay, but in the 26 years that I've been in the real estate industry, the singular thing that I have seen, the commonality between those who are truly wealthy is real estate. That is the common element along the spectrum. And so as you are listening and seeing what's going on in the economy, do not forget that millionaires, billionaires, that common element they have is they own real estate. And not just one and not just two, but they own multiple properties. So in being in the space that I'm in, doing commercial and residential real estate, again, across the board, I see that. So when I say don't shrink back, again, be careful about what you allow into your ears, okay? Because when you hear things over and over again, it will only solidify and help you be in that space. And so if you're hearing things that are putting you in fear, well, then turn the TV off, okay? You don't have to listen to CNN, MSNBC, and Fox every single day. And I, just like my sister over here, have taken a break from social media, because you have to really be careful about what is coming into your ears. Take the time, turn it off, and read a book. And maybe listen to a podcast with people with experience who can tell you how to navigate this time. Because believe it or not, in the worst times, millionaires are made. So do not get it twisted, okay? This is not the time, okay? This is not the time to stay in fear. But I also will say that you have to act on what you are hearing. When you are learning, when you are being intentional about learning about your mental health, about your physical health, about your financial health, you got to do something, because it's not going to mean anything if you're just reading and digesting and not doing anything about it. So again, if I have anything to share today, I would say that this is so impactful. It is right where I am and where I've decided to be, really, really, focused on the mind. Because again, if your mind is not right, it's been said several times, you're not going to be able to do anything. But again, also taking the time, this time more than ever, to really, really educate yourself about how you build that generational wealth. Start with yourself first, of course, your mind and your body, but then act on it and start doing things to put all of that education into action. I am here, with my panelists, and I can certainly talk more about title and that aspect of it. But I was led to really not focus on that, but to really to lean into what's being said and to make sure that you really hear. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Monzella does have a table here today. So you are free to please go up to get more information. So we're going to move into business health. And I'm excited to talk about this portion as well because we are in the great state of Maryland, and Maryland houses one of the highest concentrations of Black millionaires. Seriously, that's amazing. So that is often done through owning businesses. So Eric Chenault, who is our business health expert on this panel today, please share with us how we can build the most wealth as far as being a business owner or through the path of entrepreneurship.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Eric Chenault. I call myself the franchise steward. And I'm in the business of working with individuals who aspire to be business owners through the franchising model. In keeping with this overall theme about health, right, mental health, financial health, and the like, there's a saying that goes, businesses are really the lifeblood of the economy, right? So as businesses go, as small businesses go, so goes the economy, right? And that they are a real good predictor of the overall economic health for our communities and really for the nation at large. So to put a little more historical context on this and think about it from an African American participation standpoint, be it out of necessity, out of opportunity, out of ingenuity, out of a combination thereof, African Americans have been significantly involved in business ownership and entrepreneurship for well over 150 years, right? Essentially right after emancipation, which really, gave rise to communities like the Haiti district in Georgia, North Carolina, right? Sweet Auburn Avenue in my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. The Bronzeville neighborhood of Chicago, Illinois, right? And there are others. But perhaps the most notable being the Greenwood district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? AKA Black Wall Street. So there's a history of participation in business, and not just business, but business ownership, which translates into both an individual impact, right? Allowing individuals to be able to thrive and provide for themselves and for their families and build legacy. Allowing those individuals to self-determine and have self-actualization. And then fans on out to the community, right? Strengthening their community, providing opportunities for communities to grow, providing, revenue, pumping, providing jobs to the economy, increasing the tax base, serving as mentors and opportunities for the incubators of ideas and that kind of thing, right? So the historical precedent has been set. And while, again, African Americans have had opportunities to go on and excel in the private sector, public sector, and the government and rise to very high ranks, the need for that business ownership still exists today. It's equally as important today as it was 150 years ago. And so, whether it's through a family-owned business, a mom and pop operation, an independent business, or franchising, which is the space I'm in, that opportunity is still there, that opportunity exists, and more importantly, that need exists. So again, I'll just close by saying again, for those of you who have interest in franchising, who want to know more about that particular model in terms of business ownership and business creation, I'll be here afterwards, and I'd love to share what information I have on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to keep the party going. You guys are doing fantastic. into our physical health. Now, we understand that heart disease is the #1 killer for Blacks. So we need to know ways to protect our health. There's no sense in making money if you're not here to spend it. I'm gonna say it again. There's no sense in making money if you're not here to spend it. You need someone that's able to be here physically to manage. Now, how you prepare for that, Miss Ethel's already let us know how we prepare for that after we're no longer here, but we're not trying to leave here prematurely. I will credit my mom, who used to pray against that premature death. She said, Lord, I don't want to leave here before it's time. I don't want to push your hand. I want to be right on time for when it's my time. So this is such an incredible conversation. Dr. Barbara Hutchinson is here to help us get our physical bodies in check. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. As I look across the audience today, as I was sitting here, the one thing that is common to all of us in this room is what we would all die from. It's heart disease. It's the #1 killer in the United States for both men and women. I'm one of the only physicians in the state of Maryland that's not boarded in cardiovascular disease, but sleep on cardiovascular disease. And the reason for that is your sleep, if it's not good, it's going to affect your heart. So the next couple of minutes, less than 5, what I plan to do is to empower everyone in this room. Because I have a mantra, whatever I know, my patients should know. And so the next couple of minutes, I'm going to give you a few pearls. So when next you go back to your doctor, you'll be the smartest one in the room. Now, I know most of you have, I just said heart disease is the #1 killer. And I'm sure the question you have is, what is my risk of having heart disease? What's my risk of dying untimely? I'll tell you a secret. We all have smartphones. There's an app that we use as physicians, and I'm going to give you a free one. It's simply called CV Risk Calculator. And if you go to your app store, it is free. It's put out by the National Institute of Health, HSS. It's the Cardiovascular Risk Score. As you open your app to that score, there are a couple of things in the app that you need to put in to get a score. One, of course, is your age. The other one is your sex. Both of those we could easily fit in. The next one is your blood pressure, your systolic blood pressure. The other one is your cholesterol, your good cholesterol, your HDL, your LDL. I pulled up the app because I wanted to check, because the one I have, of course, is much more detailed, but the one that you can use free, your total cholesterol, your HDL, your systolic blood pressure, are you a smoker or not? And you could put all those numbers in and it comes up with a score. Bottom line is, your score should be less than 10. That score should be less than 10. But my point of bringing this up is to be able to fill in that score. There's certain things you must know. You must know your blood pressure. To know your blood pressure, you either have to have a monitor at your house or go to the doctor and find out what it is. So that's #1. We all need to have a visit with a physician. And when you go to the visit with your physician, make sure you have a little notepad. And don't just accept the word, everything is good. No. What is it? What's my blood pressure? You write the number down, because that number should be less than 130/80. So you write the number down. What is your cholesterol? Don't accept good. What is it? The total should be less than 200. And your bad cholesterol, which is the LDL, should be less than 100. So get in the habit of writing down those numbers, because we all need, you have a goal. If your blood pressure is 150/80, oops, it's too high. So now we need to work on that. And then there's several things you can do, not just medication that she talked about earlier, because so many people come to the doctor and be like, doctor, what could you do for me? My scenario is different. What What can we do together? In other words, there's stuff you need to do, and there's stuff I'm going to do. And together, we'll make you healthy. So I think it's very, very important. So the blood pressure, you need to know your blood pressure. Then the cholesterol, that means you have to have labs done. When you go to the doctor, there's certain basic labs you should be getting. Labs that check your kidney function. Labs that check your liver function. Labs that check if you're anemic or not, because all these things affect your heart. And of course, your cholesterol. And this is the other one. What's your sugar? What's your blood glucose level? And you need to know the number. And I know a lot of people, they go to the doctor next week, so this week they're good. Guess what? We have a number we can check that tells us what your glucose is for the last 3 months. So even if you didn't have any sweets a week before, we got you covered. We know what it is 3 months ahead. So that's the number you want to know. That's your hemoglobin A1C. So get in the habit of learning what these numbers are, writing them down. Now this is the kicker now. Recently in cardiovascular disease, there's no genetic marker that we could check to determine if you are at risk for a stroke, a heart attack, or clots in your legs. And that is lipoprotein A. And I want you to remember that. When you go to your doctor next time, even if the doctor hasn't come to your doctor yet, remember I told you, you're going to be the smartest one in the room. You are going to say to your doctor, do you mind checking my lipoprotein A? That's very important. Couple things on sleep. I mentioned to you earlier, it's important because your sleep is the sleeper in heart disease. We know about the blood pressure, the cholesterol, the blood glucose, the need to exercise at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week, the need to avoid smoking, activity. We know all of these. But the one that sometimes we don't realize play a big part in our cardiovascular health is sleep. How much of it do we need? We need to be sleeping at least 7 to 9 hours a night. You say, whoa, I don't get that much sleep. Well, we need to be intentional about getting good sleep. Why do we need sleep? Just think about it. When you go to sleep, sleep resets everything. Sleep resets your mind. Sleep resets your immune system. Sleep resets your endocrine system. Sleep resets everything. So if we do not get good sleep, that's why some of us will be in trouble if the caffeine shops go out of business. Because in essence, we're using caffeine as a stimulant to keep us awake during the day because we're not getting enough sleep. And there's certain sleep breathing problems that really make our cardiovascular system off. Sometimes the snorers in the house, I don't know how to raise your hands, but I want you to promise me one thing. Don't just say to your wife, well, you snore more than me. That's not good enough. Let's both figure out how we're going to deal with this, because if you both snore, you know 90% of people who snore have sleep apnea. If you have sleep apnea that's not treated, listen to this, it causes high blood pressure. It causes high blood glucose levels. It causes high cholesterol levels. It puts you at risk for a stroke. It puts you at risk for a heart attack. It causes palpitations. You're tired as a monk during the day, and so you need caffeine to stay alive. And then the final thing is, like Reggie White, you could die in your sleep if you have sleep apnea. So it's very important to just not blow up sleeping or not being able to sleep, or if you snore like Rancho and shake the wall or something, life as usual, no, it's important to get it checked out. And finally, one point that I want to share with everyone. In this climate that we're in, with your jobs, some people may be losing their jobs, losing their insurance, and you say, what am I going to do? I want to share with you an option for people who lose their insurance and still need care. Clinical research is a way of getting free access to health care. And I'll say that again. Clinical research is a way of getting free access to health care. You could go on clinicalresearch.com. If you have high blood pressure, you can get in a study that's giving you free medications. Cholesterol, free medications. So look at that as an option, especially people who may be using their insurance as a way of getting free health care or enrolling in some of these clinical trials. And I'll stop there, and I'll be around.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Last but certainly not least, Miss Patricia Ware is going to be speaking to our community health. And this panel has been so phenomenal, but what a great way to end and wrap this up, because we are participating in this section right now as we speak. This is community. And so, Miss Patricia, the floor is yours. And we have done amazing. I'm so proud of the final four. So proud.
Do I have just 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I have loved what I've heard here. And I'm going to tell you a quick story to segue into the last thing I'm just going to read. In the late 1980s, I had been to 20 countries, all kinds of things, but I grew up in segregation in America. Integration did not come until I was a junior in high school. Yes, I'm 75 years old. I see some of it. Yes. And but traveling everywhere. I was going, working, and I will tell you this on the side. I'm going to explain later. I've been appointed in 6 presidential administrations. I did not apply. They asked me. When people said, "How can you go from Democrat to Republican?" I said, "I go wherever God sends me to help the people." And God said He was raising up more Josephs, Daniels, and Esther's all over the country to be in the court. But in 1986, I think it was, after having done all that, I was traveling around and I saw my communities looking worse than they looked during segregation. And I said, "God, what's going on here?" He said, "Let me tell you what to do. You quit that big time job, sell that lovely house you have," because I was a licensed real estate broker as well on the side, "and you move into one of those hoods, and I'll teach you." I went away for 3 days and fasted. But I'll tell you what, I did it. And I don't recommend anyone do that unless you know it's 4 years in that community, it became a model for the entire country. We were written up in magazines. We had the first community reinvestment act hearing in the South, and people think because it's not in the North, in Chicago or something, it can't be that bad. And like people used to say, you get a bunch of country Negroes together. Well, I moved there. Unfortunately, I was a divorced single mom. I had a 12-year-old daughter. My parents were going to take me to court to get custody of her. I'm not taking our baby over there. But after a lot of prayer, they said, "This is God." Right? I went, businesses started. I mean, this is like 40 years ago listening to all of this. We've heard it before. Teen pregnancy went straight down. Marriages came together. And I'm going to tell you, when I left, because Shirley Chisholm was one of my mentors, and she said, "Girl, you better bring your butt up here and do what you've done on a statewide level." But what really convinced me to come up here was the residents. And they lined up at my little 2-bedroom apartments and said, "Go up there," because I had an offer to direct the Office of Adolescent Pregnancy Programs at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in the George H.W. Bush administration at that time. I started with Carter, and then Reagan, and then George H.W., and everyone until I think Obama was the last one where I really had. But at any rate, we can talk about that later. The point is, I left. It took the person who took my place as the CEO of the Community Development Corporation about 2.5 years to destroy everything we did. And we'll talk about how later, but I've seen it all over this country. I was brokenhearted, but Okay, I don't have 5 minutes. So I want to read something. I was preparing for this. I looked through some old papers that I had about that Community Development Corporation. And about 20-some years ago, I was asked to speak someplace else, and we came together to see why these communities were falling apart too, why our communities weren't doing better. I'm just going to read this and stop. Though many community development efforts focus on education, infrastructure, building, health, criminal justice, and business development, the primary reason, and the one which gets least attention, that is documented as the greatest detriment to sustainable development, is a lack of focus on what we call human development. This includes a focus on family and character development. It is well documented that the lack of an involved married father in the household is the main factor creating negative outcomes in all communities in the U.S., regardless of socioeconomic and racial ethnic makeup. However, in low-income African American communities, father absence is generational, and there are few resources to sustain families economically and less knowledge passed down to when the fathers are absent. Unfortunately, this creates more devastation in these communities than in other communities. I serve on the board of criminal justice organizations across the country, and what I found with the juvenile one that I serve on is an amazing one based in Florida, that 80% of young people in juvenile detention are from single-headed households. And we've got to do something about that. And again, I love everything that was said here. I wish I had, anyway, could get all you guys together again and do this, but we've got to focus on the human development as well. And I can tell you a lot of other stories about that, but my 5 minutes.
You did fantastic. Listen, fantastic. I am so extremely honored to have been asked to facilitate and moderate this panel on today. I do want to take a couple of questions from the audience, but before I do, I'm going to have us participate in some physical exercise. Dr. Hutchinson, is that okay? We're going to stand and we're going to honor this panel, and we're going to give them a hand for being so amazing. They literally deserve a round of applause. I think standing is important to show honor. I was raised that way. I'm from the South, but they deserve this round of applause. You guys were absolutely amazing, phenomenal. And I just want to say this is so transformational for me, because I'm coming out of a media and entertainment world that I don't necessarily morally agree with. And so I've been asking God to redirect me over the last year. And I feel like hosting these types of panels are my calling. So what a way, unknowingly, to really encourage me that this is the direction I really want to go in. Such transformational information continue to show up in our communities. I'm a mom of 4. I have 2 adult children, one whom I'm sending across the country at the end of this month with her husband. But to know that I've raised 2 adults who both got qualified for 2 places to live in the last week because we raised them to take care of their credit. We raised them to be a contributing member of society. Their dad was an NFL player, and I tell especially Black moms and Black fathers that our kids are more than the sports that they play. And we taught our boys that while they love football, to get an education, or if you're not going to get an education, find what you're passionate about and turn it into a business. So as a result, I have a special education teacher, I have an entrepreneur, and I have a finance major. And I am so thrilled. You guys are teaching us to pave the way. This is why this is important. Continue to do the work that you do. We honor you today. Thank you for showing up today. I'm going to, now that we've stretched and we've exercised, energized. You can track this as a couple of minutes in your Apple Watch if you're tracking. Hopefully this will lend to our cardiovascular health. I'm going to have us sit back down for a moment so I can take a couple of questions, and then we're going to dismiss everyone because we do have an opportunity for you guys to meet with these lovely, amazing panelists one-on-one. Couple of questions. Someone be bold and courageous. Anyone have a question they would love to ask one of our lovely panelists?
And I'll bring the mic.
Perfect.
If I can get it to work. I'm cool enough to. I'm gonna take that one.
Good afternoon. My name is Jerry James, and my question is, I believe it's Eric. Correct. Oh, correct. Okay. What are some steps to starting a franchise? And I'll talk to you later one-on-one, but just some simple steps for somebody thinking about franchising.
Sure, so just so I make sure I'm understanding your question. Creating your own franchise, an existing business, or getting into franchise?
Getting into.
Okay. So one of the first steps I would say is, one, you work with someone like myself, who's a franchise coach. But essentially, really, it's really about, first of all, understanding what your goals and objectives are. What is it that you want to get out of this experience, right? Are you looking to replace your current job? Looking to establish a legacy for your family, right? What are your interests? What are your passions, right? What are your likes, dislikes? Really identify, your criteria, and then as you're working with an individual to sort of help you to sort of figure that out, sort of narrow it down, because there are over 4,000 individual franchises out there. Then that's sort of the first step, right? So really it's starting from within, really figuring out what it is that you want to get out of this franchising experience.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take one more. Thank you for your question. I see a hand.
My question really isn't actually genuine in particular. My first question, I have two questions. I'm also a journalist too. But the thing is that, do you have any recommendations for like podcasts or actually YouTube or blogs that we can continue to like follow to make sure that we're more knowledgeable of actually, I don't want to franchise, but I am just an entrepreneur. So it's like I'm trying to advance to the next level and I do follow people, but sometimes they don't give you the whole entire picture. And that's the thing is, I think that ideally is that you need a blueprint to actually, so that you can go back to and go step by step as you advance, as you transition to another career. And also the other thing is that I think that not only do we have issues with not our health, but it's like our mental health, because during this time we need to just move forward and to stay positive. And the thing that I have also concerns that every time that whenever we actually do these sessions, that we are looking at like how we as African Americans and Black people, how we're behind. But sometimes it's much more helpful and positive if we do say that where we actually are succeeding and doing well. Because sometimes as we see that the world is always beating us up, but whenever we come to sessions like this, we hear that it's that we're still being beaten up. So it's like it just keeps you in like that certain space. Thank you.
So that was a two-part question.
Really three.
With the honorable mention. So. Oh, perfect.
Does this work? No. Can I have one that works?
I'm going to do a two-part close because that's a fair question. And I think that if you really receive everything that was shared in here today, you should be inspired to know that the information and the knowledge is to continue to propel us forward because we have come a long way. When you have a sister like Patricia Ware up here, who has lived through segregation, integration, degradation, we are here to move toward elevation today. This is right. And really a key point in this whole thing, this is y'all's action item, all of us, right? Is the opportunity to continue to take action. Because to your point, sis, when we were doing this, I was like, listen, this is not a situation where you just come, pick up a bunch of papers, take your papers home and do nothing. No, that's where we go wrong. Okay, so this thing ends at 2. It's 12:47, so you prioritize your time, how you want to use it, because all of these wonderful people up here and all of these wonderful people in this room, this is a community. We don't have to disappear from each other. If you registered at pgrealtist.com and you receive the confirmation of your registration, you will not only receive a copy of this whole broadcast that's being recorded and broadcast live on YouTube right now, you will also receive a program, which some of you may already have in your hands. You'll notice it's the scan, because we're going digital, because that's, cost effective when you're a nonprofit, okay? That program right now does not have all of the contact information, all of the bios, all of the information that you usually look for to determine if you're going to come to an event like this. Right? You're usually looking for who's going to be there. Why should I get out of bed and come to this? Why is it important to me? I'm going to cry, because that's the attitude that we have. Not that we haven't come far, but we've come so far that we're too good to look back and, be real about what's still needed. If you came far and you're doing well, who are you reaching back to pull up with you to move forward together? That is the importance of this. That is why NAREB is doing this in 100 cities. This is just Glendale, Maryland. And I'm sure some of you came from many other places, right? But there are people in Fort Washington, Maryland now. There are people in Silver Spring, Maryland. There are people in Washington, D.C. There are people in Baltimore. This is our region. There are people in Virginia. Okay, all doing the same thing that we're doing today, hopefully being fed the same energy and positivity that we've been fed today. And now it's up to us to continue it forward. So the work begins. The Q&A continues in your conversation, because what we say, we got till 2:00. And we also promise that you'll get a program that has everybody's contact information in it, so you can call whoever you want to call. You can set up appointments, and we're going to have one-on-ones. So if you were interested in learning more about what Mr. Joseph said or Ms. Mitchell said about trusts and wills and financing and getting pre-approved and all of that, guess what? They're going to be in the Daniel room to the far left. Okay. Also in that room, Miss Alicia Jefferson is going to join them. So if you have questions, and this is a relaxed situation. We're so used to everything being so scripted, and I am too, because I come from news. I left that. I was like, this is not my calling. Not that I couldn't do it, but it wasn't on purpose. Right. So a lot of people feel like they're losing things right now. I have said it, and I will say it again. Take your get out of jail free card and be creative. Do your passion. And there are people in this room that can help you to do that. You hear realtors, you hear real estate, you hear building wealth, and you think about probably just one thing, usually, right? Because you're just reading it in passing anyway. You're not really thinking about it. You're just like, oh, building Black Wealth Tour, I got money. Or building Black Wealth Tour, I don't need to spend time. No. We took the directive of health is wealth, because that's pretty general. Like, you've heard that. Raise your hand if you heard your health is your wealth before. Right. So we just expanded on health today. You just expanded on health today. In the Joshua room, we'll have the City Suite with Miss Alita Johnson and Milan Wolf, who is not said Wolf, because that's my son's teacher. I'm sorry, Milan. Milan with Home Free. So if you're interested in getting information about home buying programs, money that's available, or just education, it's here for you. We have 2 rooms to go to. There's also snacks in the city suite. Not a whole lot, but some water, some chips, some granola bars, just, stuff to keep you going, just till you leave. But the point is that we're so thankful for this time. We're so thankful for all of you. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say. We thank the sponsors. Yes, ma'am. Did y'all actually have a recommendation for a podcast or YouTube channel?
Podcasts, I think she's directed to my podcasts are different, but I think Eric's podcast is on entrepreneurship and franchising.
I just wanted to say one more thing. Because, sis, you didn't have a 2-part question. You actually had a 3-part question. The attorney and me was breaking your question down, honey. I was here with you, me and you here together. Let me tell you, the last part you said was, how can you carry this forward when you leave here today? Well, you just sat here with all these panelists. We here today because we care, right? We imported some type of knowledge into each one of y'all in here today. And not because we here and we being paid for it, or anything like that. But the point where I felt like what I want to try to tell you, and I hope that each one of you understand, is that what we're missing here in today's society is that we moved away from Big Mama House. None of us care about each other no more. We need to humanize ourselves. When you leave here today, I want you to leave with the thought and the intention to humanize yourself more. Care about somebody else other than yourself. Okay? This is what my mother raised me to know, that we are our brothers and sisters' keepers. And it takes a village, okay, to empower. That's what we're here for. That's what we're trying to bring to y'all. Each one of us. Now, I'm not no doctor. I felt like I should have went to medical school, y'all, because I felt like maybe sometimes I picked the wrong part in life. But y'all sure make more money than me. But I will say that she care. He care. She care. She care. I know you care. But humanize yourself. And then think, what can you do to make that actually happen? Don't come here today, and as Cherie said, and take these nice little papers and what we said and take them home and put them on your dresser. Say, I'm gonna get to it eventually.
Can I make one little comment too? Because I know we have behind what you just said, you threw up something in me. One of the things that, having gone through the different generations in this country, from segregation to, one of the things that we learned is, I call what people say, why did the Black community go down? You were, had all these, anyway, let me say it fast. It was what many of us call Black flight. Because when integration came, the educated Black people that moved over into the white communities, they started patronizing the Black businesses. Now, and so that left a lot of that, and I'm gonna tell you this real quick. I've been to 40 different countries. I've spoken I was in Kenya one time. And I was asked to be the keynote speaker at a Future Leaders Conference that I can help them get the money for and all of that. And one of the things, when they said, anyway, one of the things when I said that, Black flight, I told them, I don't care where you live. That's what we fought for. I don't care what businesses you patronize. That's what we fought for. So you can take yourself physically, don't take your heart. The people you're leaving behind need you. It's just what our sister just said. They need us. They need you. Don't take your heart. This tall Kenyan young man jumped up from the back of the audience, from the Maasai tribe, and started running towards the stage, where I was. And the security people got a little nervous about it, but when he got closer, I saw the tears coming down. And he started saying, Mama, don't take your heart. Don't take your heart. And everyone, all the young people stood up in that audience and started saying, don't take your heart. Don't take your, and that became the theme of the conference. It had been corruption, because that's what we see now. Don't take your heart.
Don't take your heart.
I love that. Don't take your heart. What a wonderful way to close this out. Thank you guys so much. This has been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you for your undivided attention and your engagement on today. We're going to turn it back over to the facilitator at hand. Thank you so much, Sharice. You've been great.
And thank you, Winter. Wasn't she amazing with these panelists? NAREB right now has a Black Developers Academy. The Young Realtors Division is establishing a curriculum that we will all be facilitating to educate the next generation of appraisers, the next generation of realtors, the next generation of inspectors. It's basically going to be like an academy for young people. I spoke at a school yesterday. Do you know, and all my friends on this road know, it's 60 hours of education to get your real estate license, okay? The real estate principles of real estate book is back there and some tests. Showed it to the kids because they're coming, they're just like, career trying to figure out, right? 60 hours. You have to be 18. A lot of them are, okay? And they're trying to figure out their way. I said, go home and ask your parents, do you rent or do you own? And see what they say. And then when they tell you, say, well, how much do we pay a month for that? Right? They're going to be looking at you crazy because they don't think that you care. And a lot of times as adults, we're so busy, we don't take the time to share that information with our kids other than saying, I can't buy you that because I don't have money because I got to pay these bills. Right? Okay. Then they asked, I said, do you want to learn how to buy a house or do you just want to learn how to be a real estate professional? Because at the end of the day, whether you want to be a real estate professional or not, you still what? Need to have education about housing. That is a pinnacle of how you build your wealth. So I'm just encouraging you to reach back to the young people in your lives and encourage them to be knowledgeable, engage them in the conversations so that they can, take advantage of it. So again, we thanked all our sponsors, our community partners, and everybody from the beginning. They will also be still here so that you can get that information. Like I said, Shervin Joseph, Ethel Mitchell, and probably they can go wherever they want. Y'all supposed to be going to get snacks and get situated where you want to be. So the people will come and find you. And like I said, Cheryl and Pat Ware, they're both Lions. They'll be in the back. So you have questions about them, just want to talk history. And we thank John Moody from Visual Suite. He has been great all week. We've been having events. This is the last day of Realtist Week. Okay, so we started last Sunday with a Worship Together program. We were at Reed Temple and Ebenezer. On Wednesday, we had an Advocacy Day where we had a live podcast with the head of the General Assembly chair, Marvin Holmes. Okay, so he was able to speak to us about what passed and what didn't pass in the assembly that just closed on Monday. So we had the latest information in National Fair Housing. The legislators are a key part. This is the other thing. If you're trying to figure out where your voice makes a difference, I know you hear it all the time, vote, right? I think the theme of our Advocacy Day was your voice, your vote, your vision. So if you have vision for something, then you need to share your voice, and then you need to make sure you vote on what you shared and what they're trying to do for you. They are here to take notes. They are here to see, what can I write that is in line with what my constituents are saying that they need? Because they want to hear your stories. The real stories that you heard people share up here today are the stories that they value the most. Okay, so when they offer you an opportunity to come to what they call them, a listening session or community conversation, don't do like what you did when you first saw the Building Black Wealth flyer and be like, oh yeah, no. You have to really pay attention to what's coming to you in these coming days, because they could be hidden messages that you need to receive and know how to be a part of the movement and how to be a part of the change. So hopefully this has been a very enlightening experience to you. Very grateful, thankful for everybody who's been a part of it. And again, make sure you register, even our sponsors, okay? And everybody that didn't think you needed to register, if you want to stay connected to the information, if you want to make sure you receive all the resources and tools from today, you need to register at pgrealtist.com so that you can be registered and receive the information. Because I'm telling you, trying to come look for everybody and trying to make sure everybody hears and has access is too much. So you get connected. Thank you guys so much.
We just wrapped the Black Building Wealth Tour. The empowerment panel was absolutely phenomenal. If you weren't here, you missed it. I'm excited to see this movement go forward.
Just a message that there's so many people that work in cohesion for the betterment of all of us, for the community at large.
I really loved learning about home ownership as well and what that looks like. So it was really good.
You literally deserve a round